I think Fernando Mendoza is a beast. And if you bleed silver and black and you want this guy right here in silver and black as well, hit that like button, because coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why he is quarterback one and why everybody here a part of this organization should want him to be the number one overall pick. Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, Fernando Mendoza, the beast, analysis and reaction. My name is Mitchell Renz. You're watching the Raiders Report, and one of my favorite NFL draft analysts, Dane Brugler, dropped his 2026 NFL draft guide titled The Beast. It's got 402 profiles, 2,700 rankings, 45,000 verified measurements, and almost 300,000 words. That is a lot of time, and it's a lot of content. And I mean this, if you are a Raiders fan, if you're a fan of the NFL, if you're a fan of the draft, I really want you to go check out The Beast. It is truly one of the best types of content on planet Earth leading up to the 2026 NFL draft. So what I wanted to be able to do today is, I don't know if anybody's done more homework on prospects than Dane Brugler, so I just wanted to show you what I would consider one of the best draft analysts in the entire world, what he had to say about Mendoza, and I'm going to give you my reaction to it. Let's first start this thing off with the overview around Mendoza in Dane Brugler's eyes. And, we've heard a lot of different people kind of poke at him, and let's face the facts here. When you're the number one overall pick, everyone's going to try to poke holes in your game. Here's what Brugler had to say about Mendoza. A one-year starter at Indiana and a 3-year starter overall, Mendoza thrived in an offensive coordinator Mike Shanahan's RPO-heavy offense. Every run is tied to a read. He earned starter-level grades from NFL scouts after the 2024 season, despite having 3 different offensive coordinators in his 3 seasons at Cal. However, he elevated his profile even further with a special Heisman-winning performance in 2025 and separated themselves as the NFL draft's clear quarterback one. He led the Hoosiers to a perfect 16-0 record in the national championship, capping off the greatest season in school history. Mendoza has an outstanding feel for touch placement and layering throws, and he's an elite back shoulder thrower. He benefited at Indiana from a quick read offense, no stop pitches, slants, and outs, but he decisively and accurately rips his initial looks. His physical traits are good, not great, but he makes up for that with advanced mental skills. Though not a dynamic athlete, he does just enough to escape pursuit, keep plays alive. With his toughness, both mental and physical, he moves on from negative plays immediately and shows a knack for finding clutch completions in adverse situation. So I wanted to be able to outline to all of y'all. Again, I make a lot of different content here, right? In my mind, there's nobody better on planet Earth covering the Raiders than me and my team here, because nobody does more homework than us, and I know that. But I also know that there's a lot of people that do a lot of homework around the draft. So I want to be able to give a shout out to my guy Tom Downey here at Chat Sports. I think the only guy that might do more homework than Dane is Tom, and that guy's just a psychopath, but I love it. But in my mind, I want a psychopath to be an NFL draft analyst. I want a guy that literally bleeds it from top to bottom. Tom starts doing his draft homework in October, November, December, hours upon hours. Daniel Jeremiah, Lance Zerloin, Dane Brugler. So I just really wanted to outline to y'all the amount of respect that I have for Dane and a lot of guys in the NFL, and why this video is important for anybody looking at the type of player that Fernando Mendoza is. So the overview that Brugler essentially gave Mendoza is that he is the quarterback one and the only quarterback in the top 40 rankings, which I'm sure that was a shot to the heart for Dan Orlovsky, but he has him as the number 3 overall prospect behind Arvell Reese, and I want to say Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame. And I just wanted to throw in there the difference between Ty Simpson. It's got him ranked at 42. Obviously, quarterback rankings are everybody's own opinion, but I do really trust the amount of homework that Dane has put in on this topic. So seeing him that Mendoza's the clear quarterback one, I just hope that people that watch this show are buying in to what Dane is selling, because I'm buying in to what Dane is selling. And I'll just say this. Sorry, I'm not sorry, Dan Orlovsky. If you think Mendoza is quarterback one, and that you agree that he's the best quarterback in this year's draft, I want you to type QB1 down below. I believe it in my heart of hearts. I think that this guy is everything that is made up of a franchise quarterback, and I'm going to show you why here in just a moment with some of these strengths according to Dane Brugler. We're going to go through, and I'm going to give you the entire outline, everything that is packed into this beast article around Fernando Mendoza. We're going to look at the strengths. We're about to look at the weaknesses. I'm going to show you his NFL Pro Comp, and then something very special at the end of the show. Let's go to the strengths, and there's a lot of them, so sit back with me. He's tall, good-sized athlete with adequate build and body strength. Quickly lines himself up to targets with snappy load and release. These are all notes exactly copy and pasted from the beast, from Dane Brugler. Throws with high-level anticipation and ball placement. These are all things that I want in a quarterback in a Clint Kubiak offense, working with somebody like Tom Brady, because a lot of good stuff here, and this is why I want people to initially buy into Fernando. Smart pre-snap, understands where to attack vulnerable matchups. This might be one of my favorite things about Mendoza's games, because you can do everything right as a defensive coordinator, but if he outsmarts you, you're kind of sitting there going, shit, how the hell am I going to be able to prepare for this guy? And this is why I think he's got a little bit of that Tom Brady-esque in him, where you can do everything right, but he's going to know where to go with the football because he's got it upstairs. Good timing and velocity on quick outs, immediate outs, and seam balls. Being able to throw almost every pitch in an arsenal is really important. You don't need to have that 99-mile-an-hour fastball. But if you got a 95-mile-an-hour fastball and you can throw 5 or 6 other pitches for strikes and they move, makes you a much more difficult hitter or a much more difficult pitcher to be able to go up against. Enough juice in his arm to rip every throw he wants. See whole shot throw on 2025 Iowa tape. I remember this whole shot throw on the Iowa game because, honestly, it's probably his worst game that he had. And when I evaluate a quarterback, a lot of times, I want to evaluate your worst game. How do you bounce back? What does it look like on the next throw? It's not all cupcakes, butterflies, and rainbows, especially in the NFL and especially on the Raiders. So I wanted to be able to watch that Iowa game. I want you to go check out that game. You're going to see the whole shot throw that he has, and he just freaking absolutely lets one rip. But that showed me confidence, and it showed me arm ability, even though there's a lot of other stuff that happens in that game that it's not all that great. Keeping it moving here. He accelerates quickly on quarterback-led draw or scrambles and finishes with toughness. That's that 4th down and 5 national championship run. Again, he's not an outstanding athlete, but when he sees some green and he knows, like, hey, I'm going to be able to make this play happen, it's that quick decision. He gets north and south, and it looks really, really flipping good. Egoless personality. Plays with a genuine love for his teammates. That you got to love. When you're number 1 overall pick, some people might expect that, like, hey, you're going to start year 1. But you got to be able to buy into the plan. We've been talking a lot about Kirk Cousins buying into the plan. New free agents buying into the plan. You also need your number 1 overall pick to be able to buy into the plan. He's already working with Brian Griese. He understands what the plan is with Kirk Cousins, but he is egoless. You see his teammates. I talked to so many of his teammates at the NFL Combine. I talked to Riley Nowakowski. I talked to Omar Cooper. I talked to D'Angelo Pons. I talked to Elijah Surratt. I'm trying to think. I talked to Lewis Moore. I think that might have been everybody. And every single, Pat Coogan I talked to. I talked to Roman Hemby, talked to Kalen Black a little bit, not at the Combine, but I've talked to Kalen Black. I'm just trying to bring up, like, every time I talk to an Indiana player, not that I expect them to tell me something that bad, but it's just glowing remarks. And you see it in the face. Like, you can see the glow in their face when they talk about Fernando, that they're rooting for him. And having a leader like that can be contagious. And that's something that this organization has needed for a very, very long time. Always the most prepared player and refuses to be outworked. Again, these are all notes from Dan. His football idol is Tom Brady. And it shouldn't surprise anybody that his football idol is Tom Brady when you see the way that Fernando plays, when you see the way that Fernando prepares, when you see the way that Fernando handles himself on and off the field. It looks and smells a lot like Tom Brady. Stands tough in the face of impending contact and get off throws. Like, there's one thing that you can might not have the best, we'll say, pocket awareness. I'm not saying that's Fernando. I think he has great pocket awareness. But sometimes, like, you see quarterbacks that are afraid to get hit, and I hate to bring this up, but I think a great example for a lot of Raider fans out there is think about Derek Carr in 2016. And then think about Derek Carr after the injury, right? He was much different quarterback. And I think when you don't have that mentality to stand in there and take a hit from time to time, that can really change up the plays, and every second matters in the NFL. And Mendoza does this really well. Steady heartbeat regardless of score or situation, and don't linger on it. And mistakes don't linger on his mind. Sorry. Like, to me, I want a quarterback that shows up in the biggest situations of the game. If it's third down and goal against Penn State, if you're in the national championship, quarterbacks that are in those situations, like what made Tom Brady so deadly, it was like, yeah, you might have a lead, but if he's going to have the final ball, like if he's going to have that ball with 2 minutes left, 30 seconds left, it doesn't matter. Teams don't want to go up against them, because when you get in that huddle and everybody's looking at you, that entire team is going to be buying into what Fernando Mendoza is selling, which is really, really scary for defensive coordinators. And then, not very graceful in creation mode, but it works. Can avoid sacks and extend plays with his legs. I don't need a quarterback that's going to rush for 50, 60 yards. Don't get me wrong, it's nice from time to time, but I need a quarterback that maybe he gives me 3-4 runs every game, and he picks up a first down or two every game to extend the drive. That's what Mendoza does. He does a lot of amazing things, but he's got it upstairs. Those were his strengths, according to the Beast and Dane Brugler. His final one, highly productive in 2025. Put together one of the best quarterback seasons in Big Ten history. I kind of laugh, and I've said this point over and over and over again on this show. I don't know when it became unattractive to have a 6'5", 230-pound quarterback that's won the Heisman, that was just, a national champion, and everybody's like, Mendoza. People are poking holes in his game, and I think people are poking holes in his game because you got to look to poke at something, because you can't poke at the fact when you go 16-0. You can't poke at the fact that this kid's unbelievably talented in terms of getting everybody on the same page. But look at all of the awards that Mendoza won last season. So, I know people are going to try to poke at his athletic traits because there's nothing really else that you can poke at. These are all of his awards that he won last season. Heisman Trophy, Maxwell, Walter Camp, Davey O'Brien, AP College Football Player of the Year, Big Ten Most Valuable Player, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Quarterback of the Year, First Team All-Big Ten, Big Ten Championship Game MVP. He shows up in big games. He showed up all season, and when they needed a touchdown, when they needed the first down, when they needed Mendoza to be the best version of a Mendoza, he ended up getting it done. So what I want you to do is this. If you haven't already subscribed to the Raiders Report, I hope that you do. And if you want to be the smartest Raider fan in your friend group, I think that you'll hit that subscribe button. I'm saying this because we put out a lot of content on this show, and we have an amazing community. I won't be the only reason why you'll be a smarter Raiders fan. I want you also to look at some of the comments that are down here on the show, whether it's live, whether it's a video that I drop. The Raiders Report community is the smartest Raiders community on planet Earth, because I think that we've learned through the 8 years that I've done this show that having different opinions is okay. Having a conversation is healthy. And I saw this comment from Justin Buckman. And Justin, dude, I wanted to say I really, really appreciated this comment. I'm a normal guy, whether I'm walking my dog, whether I'm sitting down doing my business, whether I'm, laying in my bed, whether I'm on my couch in the morning. I go through comments all the time. So I saw this one from Justin, and I just wanted you to know, man, that I appreciate you. Can't wait for this upcoming season, and just want to say thanks so much, Mitch, for doing what you do. I appreciate you so very much. I appreciate Raider Nation. I show up every single day and give my all because I think that y'all do the exact same. Hit that subscribe button to become a smarter Raider fan and join the best community on planet Earth. Let's go now to his weaknesses. Dane actually said he'd had no weaknesses at all. I'm totally kidding. No, there was a few weaknesses. We'll go through them here on Fernando Mendoza. He said that he benefited from an RPO-heavy offense at Indiana with a high percentage of first three throws, which I agree. I think one of the biggest issues that some quarterbacks have when they first get into the NFL, it's obvious. It's just not as easy compared to what it was in college, and it's how do you look at that second read? How do you look at that third read? Because when your first read's there, it makes it a little bit easier, and that's not always the case in the NFL. Rarely required to get to third or fourth read or backside routes. So, we talk a lot about his ability to scan the field. In the games that I've watched him, I do think that he can go to third and fourth read because he knows where players are supposed to be. He knows the defense. He understands that game. But when your first and your second option are open a lot of the times, makes it a little bit easier. Guilty of leaving clean pockets and doesn't like to be stagnant very long. I will say that I think that this can be probably more just from a what you're used to standpoint, right? Like you're at Indiana. You are executing at a high level. If you haven't gotten that ball out maybe as quickly as what you usually do, you go, is that play not 100% accurate? But I think Mendoza will learn with time, and I honestly think having a quarterback coach and an offensive coordinator, and then on top of that, Clint Kubiak, I think that he's going to be able to figure it out. Fernando, deep ball is good, but leaves some short and leads others. And, you kind of saw this on his pro day. Like, I loved his pro day. Executed at a high level, 53 of 56, but more importantly, was able to get through that entire drill in 20 minutes. That shows an elite level of planning. But there was a few throws, like the Elijah Surratt one, overthrew him a little bit. Even I think the final throw to Omar Cooper Jr. let it sit a little bit. But when you turn on the tape, you can tell that there are times where the deep ball could be better. But to me, the first 40 yards, I don't know if you're going to find a better quarterback in those first 40 yards. Doesn't always identify unblocked pressures and pays the price. There's the price of he can take a hit, and he's not afraid to take a hit, but he doesn't need to take a hit all the time. Mobility is an asset, but more of a linear athlete and not elusive in tight quarters. I think in today's day and age, a lot of people are looking for that quarterback that can run, that can pick up the 40, 50 yards with his legs. And, I think Caleb Williams is a outstanding quarterback, but he's a much better athlete than Fernando Mendoza. Drake May is a really good athlete. But I think when you're looking at a quarterback like Mendoza, again, I don't need a guy that can run for all those yards, but can he pick up a first down? That's what I'm hoping for. Let's now go to his pro comparison from Dane Brugler, and you could probably already see what that picture is. And, to me, this one made me smile. It definitely made me smile, and I'll tell you what this pro comparison is, and I'll give you some of my other pro comparisons here in just a moment. But we're talking about Fernando Mendoza. Kirk Cousins kind of slipped the other day and was like, I can't wait to work with him. The Raiders brought in Mendoza on April 7th, the day that they started their offseason program, on a top 30 visit. You know that he's going to be the pick. I know he's going to be the pick. And in less than 2 weeks, Fernando Mendoza will be the new Raiders quarterback with Kirk Cousins. So if anybody out there is trying to get their hands on a Mendoza shirt, go to chatsports.com/RR shop. And whether you're looking for a Mendoza shirt or if you're looking for any of the new gear that we've been dropping, whether it's We're Kubiak, because I do feel like we're back. If you're looking for the Ashton Genty shirt, if you're just looking for a Chat Sports Raiders Report shirt, at the end of the day, I want people, when they're wearing this gear, if you see somebody wearing it, go up, introduce yourself. If that comment earlier on the show didn't prove how close our family is, maybe this picture will. I received this photo on my social media, and they are a loyal watcher here. Shout out to Carly. And essentially, they were like, hey, I got 2 shirts for my grandkids. And, getting pictures like this, dude, it's the epitome of when I first started doing this show. And, you can say all this stuff about, hey, get this shirt, this, that. Seeing this and seeing the fact that people send me this, I hope when you guys watch this video, you're super fired up. But, I appreciate it, man. I want Raider fans that are getting these shirts, whether it's for you, whether it's for your kids, whether it's your grandkids, whether it's, for your mom, your dad, whoever. I hope that more and more people start sending me photos like this, because I want to be able to show y'all rocking this gear, because that's what it's all about here, continuously growing this awesome, awesome community and family that we got here at the Raiders Report. So the Mendoza NFL comparison that Dane Brugler had, Kirk Cousins. And he said that he's a supercharged Kirk Cousins, turn all of the sliders up 10 notches for speed, agility, and arm strength if we were to play Madden. I've also compared Mendoza to Kirk Cousins. I've also compared him to Tom Brady in terms of the mental processing. I've compared him to Joe Burrow in terms of being able to be a elite, accurate thrower in the first 40 yards and being able to layer throws better than almost anybody I've ever seen before. I've compared him to Jared Goff in terms of the way that I'm hoping that he turns out in a play-action offense with Clint Kubiak. But I've also compared him to Sam Bradford in terms of what Bradford looked like first coming out of the NFL. There's another comparison that Dane Brugler gives, and I'll show you who that is here in just a moment. But here's Dane's final takeaway. And, again, it's so much information that Dane put out here in this Beast article. And as soon as he dropped it, I'm not going to lie, Dane, not that I didn't look at a lot of the other stuff, but I ran right to Fernando Mendoza, right? It's like when you go to a theme park and you're like, oh, I could go check out all these other rides. Or you sprint to the ride that you want to go to. I sprinted towards Fernando Mendoza, and here was Dane Brugler's initial and final takeaway of Fernando Mendoza. Mendoza will need to prove himself with more full field reads in the NFL, but his intuition, throwing accuracy, and play confidence are superpowers and will smooth his transition to the next level. He projects as a mid-level NFL starter and a more mobile version of Bernie Kosar. So I'm not going to lie, I never really watched a lot of Bernie Kosar. Old Browns quarterback did end up winning the Super Bowl. I kind of think that that's kind of like a low ball Bernie. Now, again, it's a lot different NFL. It's a different style of game. I mean, you're looking at a quarterback completion percentage was like under 60%. But, like, maybe from a mentality standpoint, maybe from, like, in that era standpoint, but if you're telling me I'm getting a higher level version of Kirk Cousins, that's a quarterback to me in my mind that's going to be right around top 10. And the more and more and more and more he plays and the more games he sees, the better and better he's going to get in the long haul, which I think is the ultimate hope here for the Las Vegas Raiders. Before I hop on out of here, we're talking about a beast. This is a beast right here. My guy Dream, he's hooking up Raider Nation, and if anybody wants a Raiders tattoo or honestly a tattoo in general, he travels all over the United States. When I was in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine, he hooked me up with my most recent tat. The shirt that I'm wearing is also the company that he owns. But make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Make sure you DM him Raiders Report if you're looking for a hookup. And I know that not everybody's a tattoo guy, but I'll just say this. If you're looking for an artist that has worked on me, if you're looking for an artist that's worked on professional athletes, including the Indiana Pacers, I hope that you guys really trust my guy Dream. And at the end of the day, I support Raider fans no matter what they do. If you're a Raiders fan, I'm going to support you. Bottom line. If you feel the exact same way and you need a tattoo, hit up my guy Dream. Appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in to the Raiders Report. Major shout out to each and every one of y'all. And if you do not already know, when Raiders news happens, we keep you up to date. I'm also going to be live for the entire 2026 NFL Draft. We will get the picks before you see him on TV. Fernando Mendoza, he's going to be at home in Miami with his family. If you want to be watching the Raiders Report with our family, hit that subscribe button for the NFL Draft, because I'm telling you this right now, it's going to be a movie.